Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm Rick Chepo with DMCAagentservice.com. So today we're taking a look at a timing issue that comes up quite a bit with the DMCA. Specifically, when should you designate a DMCA agent? So we're not talking about a situation where you're trying to decide if you should or not. You've already made that decision, and now we're trying to focus on when exactly do you do it. Do you do it as soon as the idea of a website's fixed in your mind? Do you wait for the launch? Do you do it a couple of months after the launch? That kind of an issue. Now, in a situation like this, the first place we go look is the actual code. So we read what Congress actually put forth and passed. And the section at issue here is 512C of the DMCA. And when you read the code, it is not helpful. It doesn't say anything about the timing requirement. It just says that you have to designate an agent and register them with the Copyright Office. Not a single word suggests when that has to happen. Now, before you get too excited about that answer, the courts have weighed in on this issue because you're not the first person to think about it. And courts have, well, let's just look at a case, an actual case. So there was a situation where three companies were running about 4,500 websites, and all the websites were devoted to celebrities. And users could come to the websites and upload content, usually in the form of photos of those celebrities. Now, I don't want to ruin your view of celebrities, but most photographs of celebrities are taken by professional photographers or by the paparazzi, both groups that will militantly enforce their copyright. What about all the photos you see on social media of your favorite celebrity or influencer, looking like they're doing something naturally, and oh, you just happened to take my photo, despite the fact that my hair and makeup and what have you is perfect? Well, let me ask you a simple question. If that's spontaneous and not staged at all, who's taking the photo? Because if you can see the celebrity's hands, well, unless they have developed a strong affinity for the force, somebody's taken that photo, and it's almost always a professional photographer. Yes, I know, crushing your view of Hollywood. All those spontaneous photos are actually staged. Well, not all, but a vast majority of them. But the bigger point being that they are also copyrighted. So these three companies running all the celebrity sites were getting sued right and left for copyright infringement. And their response was, no, we are immune from copyright infringement based on content uploaded by our users because we are DMCA compliant. And one of the companies was absolutely correct. It had followed all the compliance steps, and the court ruled, yes, you are immune. You cannot be sued. It doesn't matter, what your users are doing. You are not liable for it. The other two companies, however, had a small problem. They had forgotten to designate their DMCA agent with the Copyright Office. So they claimed, we are DMCA compliant. And the court said, no, you're not. You didn't go ahead and register your agent. And that's part of the compliance process. And so if you failed to complete the compliance process, well, you waived the immunity. Now, the interesting part of this was that the attorneys for these two companies seemed to realize there was a problem at one point. And so after the complaints were already being submitted and filed, they went out and registered the agents. And what the court said, interestingly enough, was, okay, any of the copyright infringement that occurred before you registered the agent, well, you're not protected from it. You waive that immunity. You're liable for all of that if other aspects of copyright infringement can be proved by the plaintiffs. But once you went ahead and registered the agent, even though you've already been sued, you're not going to be liable from that time forward for anything that your users upload. So the courts have drawn a very distinct line. And it really just comes down to, when you designate your agent. Once your agent is officially registered with the Copyright Office, assuming you're following the rest of the compliance process, you're immune. But if you fail to take that step, well, then you're screwed. It's pretty simple. So the lesson out of this is you want to register as soon as possible. You don't want to wait till your website or your app is up and running because by then, somebody could have posted something that is infringing and you're on the hook for it. Now, in fact, I would argue that you don't even want to wait till the launch date. You want to do it, a month or more ahead of time before the launch date, if at all possible. And the reason for that is you can sometimes run into what's a situation called a petition delay. Now, under the new copyright regulations that came down in 2016, the Copyright Office requires businesses designating a DMCA agent to list their business name, their real street address, and the properties that they are registering under the agent. That information is listed on your website or app, and it's also listed in an online database maintained by the public or by the Copyright Office that the public and attorneys can search. So the problem that arises is that if your business is based somewhere sensitive, such as your home, do you really want that information floating around on the web? And most people would say no. If nothing else, identity theft is a concern, but you could always have a quote unquote fan show up at the front door. And so the answer to that is to petition the Copyright Office for the right to use a post office box. And you do that based on safety concerns, and the petitions are granted pretty liberally. I can't even think of one that's been rejected that I know of. But the problem is you have to go through the petition process. It takes 30 days. You have to send in your template. Well, we provide clients with a template through our service, DMCAagentservice.com. You have to send it in, send in your correspondence. It has to go by snail mail. There's no electronic filing process. So you literally have to go out, find an envelope, slap a stamp on that baby, and send it in. Now, because of all the terrorism and 9/11 and everything, when mail goes to a official government agency in Washington, D.C., it does not go from the post office directly to that agency. Instead, it goes through a security process because, of course, some people have sent anthrax and nasty stuff like that in envelopes to various government agencies. And so that process can take a week or two. And the end result is the entire petition process usually takes around 30 days. Okay, well, do you want to wait 30 days? I mean, if it's your launch date and you send in the petition, sitting around for 30 days is going to be incredibly frustrating. So generally, you'd want to send it in at least 30 days before you launch. Basically, the rule that we kind of use, it's just an informal rule, is that once you're committed to the website, just go ahead and register. So once you have, plopped down the money for the domain or the site design or the app design, whatever it is, well, at that point, you're pretty much committed. So go ahead and register. If you do it yourself, it's going to cost you $6. If you do it through a third-party service like ourselves, because you're worried about your information being exposed, we charge $70 a year. So, you're not talking about a major financial outlay or anything of that sort. So you might as well go ahead and get it done. And so that if, in fact, you do finish your website or your app and you're ready to launch, you don't have to wait around. So when should you designate a DMCA agent? As soon as possible. That would be my argument. Certainly once you've committed to the business and you're sure that the website or the app is actually going to be something that you're going to carry through and launch, go ahead and register. So that's it for today's video. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have yourself a good one.